They targeted the ships, the lifeline for the task force.
How the British task force commanders have underestimated the determination of the Argentine pilots.
Ship after ship in San Carlos water was hit by Argentinian aircraft. The British christened the bay Bomb Alley.
This was the first time I'd seen ships sunk by enemy action in my life.
I was watching Antelope, and suddenly a huge explosion in front of my eyes. Large parts of her superstructure flew up into the air.
I remember that explosion echoing round and then followed by a series of other explosions that went all night.
El enfrentamiento que describen los soldados británicos es la famosa Batalla de San Carlos, un combate entre la Fuerza Aérea Argentina y las fuerzas británicas que ocurrió entre el 21 y el 25 de mayo de 1982. Del lado argentino, la pieza clave eran los A4 Skyhawk estacionados en el sur del territorio continental. Si bien los buques británicos lograron desembarcar en la bahía de San Carlos, tuvieron que pagar un precio muy alto.
So I was looking basically at all the ships and these pilots, brave pilots, coming in at 0 feet, dropping their bombs and watching them, some of them just getting blown to pieces because they got the rapiers going. At first I thought they were firing some form of airburst, and what it was the jet disintegrating when one of these missiles hit them. So
and are you being attacked at this point, Mick? Is there any mortars coming in or
we weren't, our position, I was actually in the lens section, our position wasn't on direct fire, it was just that the aircraft were ignoring us, of course, and going straight for the ships. So obviously for the supply line, and they maybe even thought some of our soldiers were still on those ships. And they were just sometimes below us, as Len said, sometimes level with us. Okay, and they just kept coming past. It was the air raid warning red. And I also remember at the time, it was air raid warning red for so many times that people even started to go, oh, not again. Yeah, we were had a grandstand view, as Tony said, of a battle that, although it didn't involve us, was going on. We had a grandstand view of it, the aircraft versus the ships.
La Guerra de Malvinas fue el contexto de algunas de las hazañas aéreas más impresionantes de la Fuerza Aérea Argentina. Durante la Batalla de San Carlos, las capacidades de los pilotos argentinos se pusieron a prueba con vuelos bajos y rasantes, frecuentemente entre navíos británicos enfrentados, buscando que estos abran fuego entre sí. Eso sí, los argentinos se tomaban el tiempo para saludar a sus enemigos.
Digging in, you could actually see the Argentine aircraft, and they were level with us coming down the valley. The first time they come down, everybody opened fire on them, from 3 para, 2 para the other side. And in the end, they had to check fire on us because the problem being rounds were landing on each of us. We couldn't hit an aircraft at that speed, but we all wanted to have a go at it. But you was watching go, and surreal as it is, at one stage, 2 aircraft came down and watched them, and the pilots were, all right, boys. And they were actually waving to us as they would come down Bomb Alley, down to have a go at the ships.
I remember one particular case where a Skyhawk aircraft came over our position, and I was directing fire and through my binoculars, could actually see the pilot looking back at me, or back at us. And it was an interesting experience to see someone looking at you as the platoon that you're commanding is trying to take it down.
They knew what they were doing. They knew how to attack the ship. So they all lined up, one after the other, and came up the stern. At that time, the captain ordered full speed. We tried to manoeuvre to get our 20 millimeters to bear, but it seemed whichever way the captain turned the ship, there was an aircraft lined up on the stern, ready to come in.
Otra de las complicaciones durante la Batalla de San Carlos fue que los pilotos argentinos operaron desde las bases aéreas de Río Gallegos y Río Grande en Tierra del Fuego, lo que los obligó a volar al límite de su autonomía de vuelo. Aún así, pudieron causar muchísimo daño en la flota británica. las fragatas HMS Ardent, HMS Antelope y el destructor HMS Coventry fueron a parar al fondo del Atlántico. Desde la Segunda Guerra Mundial, el Reino Unido no tenía tales pérdidas. Por otra parte, la fragata HMS Broadsword, el destructor HMS Entre y la fragata HMS Plymouth resultaron dañados, aunque, como escucharás a continuación, prácticamente ningún navío salió ileso del ataque de los A4 Skyhawk.
What came home to me, probably midway through the conflict, was the sheer number of ships that we were either losing or were taking damage, and collectively, I think we all thought and discussed really when would it be HMS Plymouth's time, because there were not many ships that were going unscathed at a particular point, and then the day came, we were attacked by 4, 5 or even 6 Argentinian aircraft. We knew pretty quickly that the air raid that was coming in was for us. We'd all hit the deck. I remember myself on the deck of the ship. You could feel the shudders rippling through the ship, the bombs hitting, the rockets flying through the superstructure, and of course the cannon fire that was hitting the ship all down one particular side. Because of course we had 2 unexploded 1,000-pound bombs sitting on the back end that needed to be made safe. That really was a time to reflect. Because of course it was still a danger to the ship, could have blew up at any time.
HMS Plymouth, assigned to protect, only just dodged 2 bombs herself.
El objetivo de los argentinos era destruir la Task Force, es decir, la Fuerza de Tareas Organizada para el desembarco en San Carlos. En la batalla hubo una participación secundaria del ejército argentino. La mayor parte del operativo quedó en las manos de la Fuerza Aérea, que contaba con 45 bombarderos de ataque Skyhawk A4B y C, 37 Dagger, 17 aviones de combate y ataque Mirage, 10 bombarderos ligeros Canberra y más de 35 aviones Pucará IA-58 de apoyo cercano diseñados y construidos en Argentina.
We then watched the task force being hit time and time again by Skyhawks and Mirage jets from the Argentinian Air Force.
The day wore on, and the intensity of the Argentine air attacks increased.
What quality were your opponents?
We've mentioned the Air Force, who were extremely courageous and very good.
They came in again. Bombs thunder into the water, yards from our ships.
Si bien la batalla de San Carlos culminó con el desembarco británico, las operaciones aéreas en esa semana de mayo de 1982 fueron tan solo algunos ejemplos de la capacidad de los pilotos argentinos, algo que el enemigo no esperaba. El buque logístico de desembarco Sir Galahad era uno de los protagonistas de la operación británica y si bien sobrevivió a San Carlos, fue hundido el 8 de junio de 1982 por bombas lanzadas desde los A4 Skyhawk argentinos.
The Galahad was lightly armed and the Welsh Guards had no defense against air attack.
They actually hadn't seen the Argentine Air Force at work. Because for the 5 days they'd been there, the bad weather had kept the Argentine Air Force away. So they hadn't seen how deadly those guys could be. I can tell you, if I'd been on board that ship, I'd have swum ashore rather than stayed.
Al volar a tan baja altitud, muchas de las bombas lanzadas por los aviones argentinos no tenían tiempo a detonar y era labor de los británicos desactivarlas para evitar accidentes. Pero esa no fue la última campaña de ataque aéreo de Argentina.
Bernie successfully removed the bomb from the Galahad. Naval disposal teams cradled unexploded bombs of 6 other ships. If these bombs had detonated on impact, the British campaign would have been stopped in its tracks. Then 4 days after the landings, the Argentinians struck another devastating blow. Exocet missiles hit a vital British supply ship, the Atlantic Conveyor. It was carrying 4 giant Chinook helicopters. 3 were destroyed. It was perhaps the single greatest setback of the war.
I had been preparing a plan to move my brigade forward onto the high ground overlooking Stanley, and the key part of that plan was 4 Chinook helicopters.
In the rush to pack equipment onto the task force ships, crucial errors had been made.
The destruction of that one ship changed the tempo of the whole war as far as we're concerned. We would have to walk.
Ya sea por diferencia de capacidades bélicas, preparación o simple mala suerte, el Reino Unido emergió victorioso en la Guerra de Malvinas el 14 de junio de 1982. Aún así, los pilotos argentinos se ganaron el respeto de sus pares británicos. Escucha esta curiosa teoría del capitán Alan West sobre por qué los pilotos argentinos eran tan efectivos.
Fast jet pilot, you've got to be good or you're dead. I mean, it doesn't matter which country you come from, because they've got to have bloody good reactions, they've got to be good. And the Argentinians, if you imagine, what are they, sort of racing drivers, polo players? I mean, what better sort of chap to have sitting in a fighter?
Llegamos al final de este video. Y antes de despedirnos, nos gustaría saludar con respeto a los heroicos pilotos argentinos que operaron en el sur del Atlántico. Nos reencontramos en el próximo video de Aviación Militar.